everybody. Welcome. It's Filian Nekazawa here, and today we're going to be getting into some VTuber Newsy news. But before we do, please ensure to smash subscribe, hit the like, ring the bell. And guys, do you know I stream on Twitch? Head over to Twitch. And if you're at work, leave me a lurk. And guys, I just want to say thank you so much for helping my channel reach 40,000 subscribers. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I couldn't have done it without you. And for everyone who was able to come to my birthday cooking stream, thank you so much. I really appreciate your love and support. And I couldn't do it without the help of each and every one of you. So I just want to say a very big thank you. You guys made my birthday. So I really want to say thank you so much for supporting this cat. Meow. All right, guys, on to our very first piece of Newsy news. This is Filian, and Filian is an independent VTuber based in North America, with English being her main broadcasting language. Although she has not made an official debut yet, she has been streaming on Twitch since April 2021. So guys, if you don't know, Filian has been missing for about 6 months. We're not really sure where she is. A lot of people suspect that there's some sort of like ARG going on. So anyways, guys, let me introduce you to this. This is Dokumi, and Dokumi is Germany's largest anime, manga, and Japanese pop culture convention, held annually in the Messe Dusseldorf. It attracts over 200,000 attendees and features massive artist alley, J-pop concerts, and interactive events like maid cafes. So why are we talking about Filian and Dokumi? Okay, so Dokumi is happening this weekend. It's happening from May 29th to May 31st, but there has been an interesting sighting here. So this is posted on Dokumi's Twitch channel. This is posted as of 6 hours ago as of filming. It says here, Dokumi 2026, exhibitor and fan booth application start. So within this VOD, there is something interesting. So let me show you guys what that is. Let's watch it together.
Hey guys! Wait up! Wo willst du hin? No. Wo willst du hin? Wo willst du hin? Where do you think you're going? I have a...
That is definitely the voice of Filian. This is a Filian's commercial that is at the Dokumi Con. So at the end of the commercial, it shows this QR code. So if you scan the QR code, it takes you to filianislost.com, and there is a countdown, and it says phase 1, get notified, and you can put your email here. So if you go to the Wayback Machine, if you went to Filian is Lost, the Wayback Machine says, have you seen her? So this is definitely a countdown for something for Filian, but what exactly it is unclear. So this is posted on the Kurosanji subreddit. This is posted by Bang Monica, and it says here, Filian has a mysterious countdown website. So let's see what some people on Reddit are saying. CPC Alice says, saw this, and I guess I should give people a nice little reminder. I understand that people miss Filian. However, we really do not know if this is really part of her stuff or just some random doing a little thing. It's nice to have hope though, for sure. So what is the reminder? The website is asking for your email. There are things that people can do with just giving you email. If you trust that this is actually Filian, then feel free. If you are skeptical like me and take a smidgen of preventative measures to not get punked in the cybersecurity space, either make sure to use a burner email or don't put in your email at all. If something does pop up for this, you'll definitely hear it in the internet really quick, especially since there's a definitive end date for it. Just a little reminder, CPC Alice. Hello Broad says, is there any indication it belongs to Filian and it isn't just some rando trolling? And Doc says, apparently her editor retweeted Rima's tweet about the website being found. And Bob Vacay says, seems to have been created in February with GoDaddy. So then this is posted on the Filian subreddit. This is posted by Big Choppa, and Big Choppa says, the mayor of Toronto, Canada's largest city, photographed with a Filian is Lost shirt. Okay, so this is the current mayor of Toronto, and you can see this gentleman here has Filian is Lost with a peace sign, and you can see here again, Filian is Lost. The OP says, popped up on my feed this morning, story post from a guy I watch that makes videos about design and culture. I'm from Canada, so seeing this mayor next to Filian is Lost shirt is hilarious. Something weird is going on for sure. So this is also posted in the Filian subreddit saying, proof it's a debut. And this is posted by Educational Wing saying, so with the countdown approaching, a debut to me is coming without a reasonable doubt. Let's take a look at the few months/weeks before the final stream happened. Filian was once asked, when's the debut? You can find it on YouTube as a clip. She answered, all I can say is we are working on the model and it's happening. Followed up by her saying it took very long because of her standards and that they are finally, quote, being met. Another time she was asked and she answered, it's probably not as far away as you think. It's not going to be a normal debut. It's going to be probably the first time and like maybe the last time anyone's ever done something like this. So ... It'll be a little bit different, chat. Instead of just debuting, I have been preparing to show you guys my world. The truth is, chat, I live in an apartment and I'm going to be moving to a slightly larger one soon. I'll be showing you guys the world. So yeah, I've been working on it nonstop in the background and it's been very intensive. It's the hardest I've ever worked on something in my life. So what do you think this means? First of all, in the first quote I mentioned, she said it's happening, right? That's what she said on her final stream when it went to black. To me, that clearly shows that she's referencing what she said in the past. As a whole, the ARG also referenced, quote, I'm going to show you my world, and that she doesn't have enough time, or quote unquote, one day in another life maybe. So what does quote unquote my world mean here? How is it unlike any debut done before? Is this just the ARG or even more? So anyways, guys, what do you think of this Filian countdown? Do you think this is going to lead to a debut, or do you think this is going to lead to the next step in an ARG? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, guys, on to our next piece of Newsy news. This is Twitch, and Twitch is an American video live streaming service popular with video games, including broadcasts of esports competitions. So why are we talking about Twitch? Well, guys, this is posted on Zach Boosie's X account. This posted on May 28, 2026 at around 6:24 p.m. And Zach says Twitch's viewership cap for persistent view botting is being implemented. Based on my analysis, about 8 of the top 250 streamers have clear viewership caps. Of those that have gone live today, combined, it represents around 88,000 fewer viewers than their combined 90-day average. Okay, so you can see some of the proof here. This is posted by Validate. This is posted on May 28th, 2026 at around 7:09 p.m. And Validate says Asman was left stunned after Twitch exposed FaZe Banks for botting his streams. His viewership has now plummeted from 49,000 down to just 2,000 as Twitch continues its crackdown on botting. Okay, and then this is posted on Diabeto's X account. This is posted on May 28th, 2026 at around 10:13 p.m. And Diabeto says, drama alert, Mizkif reacts to Banks losing 48k viewers on Twitch's new shutdown of view botting, and it's about to get wild. What he said, shout out to Dan Clancy for capping the shit. Banks is now at 2k viewers. Check it out below. So let's take a watch here.
FaZe Banks typically on his stream has 50,000 viewers. Now he's at 2k. Shout out to Dan Clancy. I think you guys got to give him credit for this one. I think you have to give him credit. A lot of you guys don't like Dan Clancy or talk shit about the guy. And I'll be real, I did not think that this was going to happen. He really did cap the shit, and he really did a good job. I'm going to say that. Good job to Dan. Can't argue with him that he's doing good shit right now. They're doing this.
This is posted by Chumbucket, and this is posted on May 28th, 2026 at around 3:34 p.m. And Chumbucket says, OTK member Seer, the first big streamer to be view capped on Twitch. Seer's viewer count appears frozen at 1,200, far below his 3,500 average, despite chat containing over 3,000 logged in users shown in the bracket. This 1,200 figure aligns with viewer metrics 6 months ago, which detected 1,500 bots alongside 1,400 real viewers. Accounting for Twitch viewership decline since then, a 1,200 real viewer ceiling is mathematically consistent with this report. So this is tangentially related. This is posted on Zach Boosie's X account. This post on May 27th, 2026 at around 11:06 a.m. And Zach Boosie says, Amazon ads to launch 2 AI Twitch sponsorship tools at TwitchCon. Campaign Assist will analyze how creators speak during sponsorships and prompt them on what they need to say, change their tone, etc. Chat sentiment analysis will process all chat messages to determine reactions. So anyways, guys, what do you think of the bot apocalypse and Amazon telling you to change your tone when it comes to creator campaigns? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, guys, on to the next piece of news. This is Luminara, and Luminara, otherwise known as Luminara Legacy, was an American VTuber production brand founded in 2025. The group is known for organizing competitive tournaments, musical projects, large-scale VTuber concerts, and multi-creator showcases. May 26, 2026, Ricky, Tsunami Cat, Danny Dawnstar, Lunaria, Arian, Favorite, Velkin, Miss Shadow Lovely, Snooty Death, Sawan, Salprado, Oni K, Honey, Gevinex, Little Ludi, and Cyberpunk announced their immediate departure from Luminara, along with staff members resigning early in the morning. And then on May 28th, Luminara briefly changed its name to Luminara Discontinued on Twitter before getting deleted at 6:30 a.m. EDT. If you go here to the handle on X, Luminara Legacy, you can see that this count doesn't exist. So here is just some more opinions on everything that's kind of gone down with Luminara. So this is posted by Not Azuhara saying, every effing time. There's just an image with a red pond saying, I got taken advantage of by my corporation. And then of course, everyone else is piping in. We knew for 5 months. I haven't been paid in 6 months. It's not my story to tell. I was effing the CEO. He was very creepy, but I said nothing. My experience with ... They effed me over, but I said nothing. Essentially, the sentiment of what this image is saying is that a lot of people knew that Luminara was bad, but nobody said anything, which is kind of something that unfortunately it has been a repeating trend in the VTuber sphere. So here's just some further sentiments on it. So this is ExpertArmchair, and ExpertArmchair is a talking chair. And ExpertArmchair posted this on their X account on May 26, 2026 at around 11:07 p.m. And ExpertArmchair says, this accepted industry norm of quote unquote warning others in private about supposed bad actors has to stop. It is poison to the professional standards of this industry because it grants the people who practice in good faith and feeling that they're doing something meaningful, while those who are supposed to be hindered by it are entirely unbothered so long as they can keep up public appearances. It doesn't work against genuine bad actors with access to money or funding. It doesn't work against genuine bad actors who are shameless enough to name drop any industry figure they've brushed shoulders with for clout. It doesn't work against genuine bad actors who are willing to leverage the social platforms of online quote-unquote positivity to stigmatize legitimate criticism. There are only bad actors who pose any sort of serious threat to anyone. All of them are entirely unbothered by this person-to-person warning system until they get outed for something that costs them their relevance, at which point they've already done the damage and are usually beyond meaningful reproach. Warning others at cons, mixers, and orgies is supposed industry safeguards, with amounts to little more than easily weaponized gossip at the best of times. The worst part, it even allows those same bad actors to couch their dismissal of legitimate complaints, corroborated as they might be, as just more of the same idle backroom backchat. What's more, this trend of only providing anecdotal testimony against bad actors after they become publicly approved whipping boys needs to stop as well. Every time someone only airs their complaints publicly and without evidence or documentation after the supposed bad actor has been rendered irrelevant by something else, they reinforce the exact same industry norm that allowed said actor to operate in secret for so long. I can probably count on one hand the number of people giving public accounts on Kamada's seedy dealings now that also speak up about a month ago when he was boasting about Luminara's evidently unsustainable business model and calling other companies in the space quote-unquote predatory by comparison. Why are all these allegations only being publicly aired now? Is it because he's no longer a threat as the head of an agency without any talents left in it? Is it because all the other surviving businesses in this space still worth playing nice with have publicly disavowed any affiliation with him and his company? Is it because he's no longer on the same site and can't or won't reply anymore? I can sympathize with the people's reactions for not wanting to be inconvenienced by the process of leveling public critique against an active entity. Maybe you don't want to burn bridges with the talents who are coping about the pie in the sky promises to them by their boss. Maybe you don't want to deal with a cattle on social media who will jump to their defense by virtue of all of them claiming the mantle of quote-unquote talent first business. Maybe you don't want to start a gossip war against someone who appears to have comparatively loads of money behind them to avoid the possibility that they actually sue. All of these reasons are understandable, but when you speak out against someone or something only after they lost their relevance, understand that you will achieve nothing but personal catharsis. The cattle will have already been milked and the talents might be too. Nothing will change, and the next person with a suspicious amount of funding or a sufficient number of quote-unquote connections will go on to do almost the exact same thing while making the exact same false promises to anyone who will listen. Some of the people who will listen might even be the same people who were burned by the last now irrelevant disaster too. If people want this industry to be more professional, then we need to start moving away from industry warning system modeled after high school girls bitching about someone who gave them the ick. If you have a legitimate complaint, gather evidence and documentation. If a peer in the industry who you've never interacted with before solicits you to talk business or asks to meet in a situation where talking business might very well occur, archive the conversation if it happens online or bring someone along who can corroborate your account of the interaction in real life in case things get uncomfortable. Have a buddy at parties whose job it is to stay sober and listen in on conversations that you have with other industry figures. The most important step will be moving away from person-to-person quote-unquote warnings to public callouts, not shoddy Google Docies airing out personal drama with nothing but a few obviously cherry-picked Discord screenshots, but a proper dossier and or accompanying testimony from witnesses. This will be the biggest and most difficult step because it will require people to decide whether to speak up publicly based on objective standards of evidence rather than vibes and public consensus. However, it is crucial if anyone genuinely wants to make the industry more hostile to Kamada and his ilk. In an industry where careers rely on clout and favors, there is virtually no incentive to make this shift. However, I urge anyone who has felt genuinely burnt by Kamada and his dealings to consider how wholly played out the entire debacle has been. Luminara was not an original sales pitch. Kamada was not a novel scumbag. We've seen countless incidences of this exact same thing before in this industry. They keep repeating themselves for a reason. If the only bad actors you're willing to publicly confront are deactivated Twitter accounts or bankrupt businesses, then you will always win, but you'll never change anything. So long as people continue to seek public consensus as their main form of protection while speaking out, bad actors will continue to infest the space entirely unbothered. Stop waiting until someone else with more autism or less gives you permission to speak about making the first move. So this is Barefoot Electric replying to ExpertArmchair, and Barefoot Electric is the manager for Zentreya. So Barefoot posted this on their X account on May 27th, 2026 at around 8:48 a.m. And Barefoot says, it's also because sometimes in business partnerships, partnerships, NDAs are signed. The affected party isn't legally allowed to speak up until the NDA is broken by the other party or the time limit runs out. In VTubing, there are lots of NDAs. Sometimes all you say is that you can no longer work with someone and have parted ways. It's not always black and white. You also forget to factor in that when a VTuber belongs to an agency, at times they are bound by that agency's PR. Sadly, not all agencies are going to look at situations like this and allow a public call out. They would rather settle it privately because they think of the agency as a whole reputation or public image versus a singular talent. I'm not saying all are like this, but I'm saying that there are many who aren't. I understand your frustration and point of view, but you must also understand not all situations are the same and not all speech is free when part of a larger corporation. When legality gets involved, it becomes even more muddied. Someone say speak up anyway, and that's easy to say, it seems like a no-brainer, but when someone's entire career is based off the exact wording they use, the situation becomes a struggle between morality and survivability. I've seen many VTubers lose everything over speaking out and never recover. It's a horrible place to be in, but unfortunately in today's world, the right thing isn't always the clearest, and it definitely isn't always the one that puts food in your mouth. And sadly, that's the situation these kinds of bad actors prey upon. They build themselves up with smaller creators who may not know what flags to look for, then they shoot for bigger and bigger ones until the damage is done. Maybe what we all really need is better education on business practices and how to spot bad actors ahead of time instead of telling people to out them after they find out. So then ExpertArmchair replied to Barefoot Electric in a quote retweet. Armchair Expert says, I find this response fascinating since it perfectly demonstrates why criticizing bad actors and especially exploitative companies in this space is so difficult. Why is it that quote unquote better education on business practices and how to spot bad actors ahead of time and quote unquote telling people to out them after they found out are present as a dichotomy where we have to choose one or the other? Who do you think is going to do the educating? What do you think the public response to that quote unquote education is going to be if its principles are actually applied to actors in the present instead of just circling around in endless, vague hypotheticals? What use is the education if it can't be openly taught and applied? Something that I've noticed is that when people go on these diatribes about how unreasonable it is to expect others to speak out against a bad actor before it's publicly safe to do so, you always seem to frame it as if it's purely hypothetical. What if someone were to speak out? Think of the consequences for them if they were to say something before this all came out. As if there weren't people who did exactly that. Say that something was off about bad actor, in this case Luminara/Kamana, before it was socially acceptable to do so. Luminara wasn't even particularly difficult to criticize even if you had no background knowledge of Kamana himself. It was a self-evidently dead agency from the moment its CEO boasted on social media about making nothing while running it as if it was a good thing, that and flexing that the entire company generated a grand total of $7,000 in a whole 6 months. So why didn't anyone say anything then? My post was a critique of industry-wide culture of weaponized gossip, indirect confrontation, and optics-based inaction using Luminara as a case study. It was a quote tweet in response to a talent from a completely different company, Airs, who shared that Kamana had used the exact industry norm to launch a malicious whisper campaign to undermine her agency and poison the well against her coworkers. At the same time, however, she and many others now providing anecdotes about Kamana's suspicious conduct have made it very clear that they didn't sign anything that would have prohibited them from saying anything earlier. They were not working under Luminara. They were not obligated to Luminara. That's the entire point of my criticism. In the absence of legal gags, the only ones keeping this apparent multitude of people from speaking up earlier were social and or cynical. Cynicism cannot be remedied, but social attitudes can be changed. As harsh as that sound, everyone speaking up now who had no NDA or non-disparaging agreement with Kamana or Luminara could have done so much earlier. I won't pretend that I don't get why they chose not to. Like I said in my post, the reasons are many and understandable, but I'm also not going to hide the fact that this practice of only coming forward once it's publicly safe to do so is part of why con artists like Kamana get such long leashes in this industry. Your entire point about NDAs, self-evident as it is, was entirely besides the point of my post. You have responded to my criticism of an industry-wide culture of weaponized gossip and consensus-based silence as if I was condemning the talents under Luminara for not being the first to speak up. This happens every time a company that hides behind a quote-unquote talent first for PR gets criticized for being shady in their dealings or promises. People instantly assume that criticism leveled at a company while it's still operating, or the people who hop on the bandwagon of dunking on them post-mortem is actually a jab aimed at the talents. Nowhere did I even imply that I expect talents to commit career yeeticide by becoming martyrs in defiance of whatever agreements they've signed with their company in the absence of a lawyer. I find it deeply ironic that you don't seem to have recognized this since you manage Zen, and that social attitude was exactly what VShojo exploited to fly under the radar for so long. There's a reason why people are drawing parallels between Luminara and VShojo. They were the same con and they succeeded for the same reasons. No one with a brain is saying speak up anyways, when anyways means break break contract. What we're criticizing is the notable trend of people hopping on the social media bandwagon of criticizing a corporation once its all skeletons have fallen out of the closet, when it was rattling loudly for months beforehand and there was no legally binding gag stopping them from saying something beforehand. So in response to Expert Armchair, this is Sinsu, and Sinsu posted on their X account on May 27, 2026 at around 12:46 p.m. And Sinsu says, I wrote and trashed a few tweets on this topic of Luminara, but Armchair said exactly what I was thinking, but better. I saw Luminara appear and people praise the CEO as some higher skilled and trusted manager, etc., and defend him from questionable mental boom tweets, but now no one has anything good to say about him. Why does it always need to reach the stage of mass amounts of damage done before the behavior of people like this is brought to light? It needs to be before this point, not after. So anyways, guys, what do you think of this take from Expert Armchair? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, guys, on to our next piece of Newsy News. This is Sun Kenji, and Sun Kenji is a male American VTuber who streams on Twitch and sometimes on Kick, while also posting videos on YouTube. He's been active since 2020. Okay, so why are we talking about Kenji? Well, guys, this is posted on Kenji's X account. This posted on May 26, 2026 at around 5:44 p.m. And Kenji says, F it, making a VTuber agency. Obviously, Kenji is very frustrated with all the goings on that has been happening, especially with the dissolution of Luminara. So a lot of creators are getting frustrated and they're like, all right, you know what, F it, I'll just do it myself. Okay, so then Kenji has made this handle called the VTube Company, and it says official account of the VTuber Company, little profit, big expense. So you can see here, it also has a YouTube channel as well, the VTuber Company. So here is Flork of Cows from Fox VTuber Agency. Flork did a quote retweet of Kenji saying, Kenji, no, Kenji, don't do it. It starts as a joke and then it's not. Kenji, don't do it. So you can see he's just like yelling from the guy's like, no, don't do it. Because essentially that's exactly what happened with Flork of Cows. Flork of Cows started VTuber Agency as a joke and now it has a very successful Fox VTuber Agency. So this is posted by Shoto. Shoto says, what do y'all think? It seems like a good deal. You can see this is obviously a joke contract where it says the company takes everything, you get nothing, 90-10 split. So you just sign here. Feel free to sign. Anyway, guys, obviously this is a joke, but what do you think if Kenji started his own VTuber agency? Would that be a good thing? Would that be a bad thing? Would it be a happy accident? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, guys, on to the next piece of Newsy News. This is Hanasaki Miyabi, and Hanasaki Miyabi is a male Japanese virtual YouTuber endorsed by Hololive branch HOLOSTARS. He's a member of the first generation. So this is a screenshot of Miyabi's. This is not his final stream, but it was one of the streams kind of leading up to the final stream. So Miyabi says, but since I'm a HOLOSTAR, I thought I'd collab with fellow HOLOSTARS. The company policy is that HOLOSTARS is no longer a group, but he wants us to do our best as individuals. That almost made me cry. That my thoughts and company directions have deviated this much. The thing I believed in my entire career is just gone. So like, obviously this is like really, really heartbreaking. As you guys know, a lot of the HOLOSTARS are graduating and the ones that remain are not going to be getting any managerial support. So if there are any HOLOSTARS that you would like to support, please make sure to support them post-graduation, because that is when a creator needs your help the most, right? After they've kind of cut ties with a corporation, they have to rebuild their numbers. That is when they need the help the most. So please make sure to keep that in mind, okay? All right, guys, on to the next piece of Newsy News. This is Mr. Sauce, and Mr. Sauce is a face tracking creator. So why are we talking about Mr. Sauce? Well, guys, it looks like Mr. Sauce has created some really, really good face tracking. This is posted by Mr. Sauce on their X account on May 27th, 2026 at around 5:46 p.m. And Mr. Sauce says, Mitalina's face tracking is coming this Friday. It's my most ambitious add-on so far, featuring support for all 8 avatar versions, including Mikuchi, emotes, tongue tracking and emulation, jiggle, blink, face add, blend shape support, English and Japanese menus. So let's take a look at was so incredible that even an article was written here. So this is posted by Den Femiko Game saying a super cute face tracking video is making waves. The attention to detail is impressive, tracking not just various expressions like smiles and troubled faces, but even tongue movements. And then this is a link to the news article there. By purchasing it along with a separate 3D model, it can be used in VR chat and similar platforms. So if you guys are interested in this, this is available on Booth. So if you go to mrsauce.booth.pm, so Mr. Sauce has all of this face tracking within these models. So these are all pre-made models. So anyways, guys, please make sure to go support Mr. Sauce for this groundbreaking face tracking. Okay, guys, and that's it. That's the end of the VTuber News. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you see, please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And guys, if you're not able to catch me on Twitch, that is no problem. I do have a YouTube channel called Lydia VTuber VODs that backs up all of my gameplay, and I probably play through some of your favorites, and I'm currently playing through Stardew Valley, but I will be starting a new game on Monday. Okay, guys, thanks so much for watching, and thank you so much for all the birthday wishes, and thank you so much for everything. You guys are incredible. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a great day. Take care. Mwah! Bye-bye. Are you gonna declaze the pen? I'm gonna declaze the F of the pen.